Hello, thank you for tuning in to Kaieteur Radio. I'm Kevin Smith. Welcome to your news at noon for Monday, November 1st, 2021. I'm Kevin Smith. These are the top stories we are tracking. Chinese firms tendering for a Milo Falls project were blacklisted for procurement fraud. 24-year-old mom and baby girl die hours apart at New Amsterdam Hospital. Investigation launched. The government extends curfew to midnight from today despite daily increase in COVID-19 deaths. Climate change will likely reverse gains in Guyana's health and agriculture sectors, according to a WHO report, and man killed after speaking with foreign women. And according to the official gazette, persons must now be fully vaccinated to enter country and public buildings. And to wrap things up, latest global climate report reveals world is in uncharted territory as 2015 to 2021 will be 7 warmest years on record. Stay tuned to stay informed.
Weak systems of governance and the absence of the rule of law both combine to form the perfect stage for corruption to flourish. As part of our anti-corruption fight at Kaieteur Radio, we invite you to join us every Tuesday evening from 7:30 p.m. as we embark on the most needed quest to remove the tentacles of corruption from our systems. See you then for our latest program called Governance, Corruption and Justice.
And now for the news in detail. The 3 Chinese-owned companies bidding for the 165-megawatt Amilo Falls hydropower project were once blacklisted by the World Bank over fraudulent procurement practices. The companies, China Railway Group Limited, Sino Hydro Corporation Limited, and China Gezhuba Group Company, along with Brazilian-owned Realma SA, submitted requests for proposals in early October to the Ministry of Natural Resources at the opening of tenders for the resuscitation of the project, which is slated to begin sometime next year. Checks conducted found that China Railway, which the PPPC government had intended years ago to develop this project, was in 2019 debarred by the World Bank for practices considered fraudulent on a highway project in the country of Georgia. In other news, Regional Chairman David Armagon disclosed yesterday that the New Amsterdam Hospital has commenced an investigation into the deaths of a mother and her baby just hours apart. Dead is 24-year-old Devi Samaru of Bloomfield Village, Carrington Berbice, and her newborn baby girl. The baby died on Saturday while Samaru died Sunday morning, relatives said. While the pregnant woman stayed at the hospital, her mother had left and returned around noon and was told that her granddaughter had died. She was also told that she could not see the newborn until Monday after the post-mortem was done. When the grieving mother returned to the hospital yesterday around 6 a.m., she was informed that Samaru had died. Husband of the dead woman, 28-year-old Sunil Partab, said the nurses gave her 2 injections and saline. They were told by the doctor that Samaru died from hemorrhaging, but the family is demanding justice for their deaths. Meanwhile, despite the alarming number of COVID-19 deaths and cases being recorded, the government has made an adjustment to its measures by extending the national curfew hours from 22 hours 30 to now midnight to 4 a.m. This updated measure, which was published in the official gazette last Friday, will be in effect from today up until November 30th. The government also extended businesses opening hours to 23 hours. Some of these businesses are that of bars, indoor and outdoor dining. While the curfew is being extended, the Ministry of Health yesterday reported that 7 more persons who contracted COVID-19 have died. And moving on. Guyana's agriculture and health sectors are regarded as being extremely vulnerable to climate change due to the natural connections and dependencies that exist between climatic conditions and other aspects of life. This is according to the recently released 2020 World Health Organization report on climate change. According to the report, the phenomenon is also likely to have an impact firstly on plant development, animal health, and water availability, which in turn will have a domino effect on agriculture and the nation's food security. The food security will then most definitely exacerbate the triple burden of malnutrition and the metabolic lifestyle risk factors for diet-related non-communicable diseases. Lifestyle-related illnesses like diabetes, hypertension, and heart disease, which are said to be among the leading causes of deaths in Guyana, falls in the category of non-communicable diseases. And moving on. It is believed that jealousy might have led to a man being stabbed to death yesterday after reportedly having a chat with two Venezuelan women. Up to press time, the man had been identified only as Bush. He was stabbed sometime close to 1 hour along the road located at Ruby on the east bank of Essequibo. Bush had left his home earlier that night with a relative to have a few drinks. On the way home, the man stopped at a shed beside the road and began chatting with two Venezuelan women. Shortly after, a man also believed to be a Venezuelan national observed what was taking place and confronted Bush. It was related that the men subsequently got into an argument and Bush was stabbed to his chest during that time. Police are currently hunting the suspect. And now, let's tell you, more than 3 weeks after the permanent secretary attached to the Ministry of Amerindian Affairs, 42-year-old Sharon Hicks, was caught in a sting operation collecting a bribe from a contractor. The file is presently with investigators where adjustments are being made. Hicks was arrested on Thursday, October 7th at her office. According to Crime Chief Wendell Blanham, the Director of Public Prosecutions, Shalimar Ali Haq, has returned the file to the Ghana Police Force. He noted that based on suggestions from the DPP, the investigators are currently clearing up the points raised by the legal advisor. The crime chief further noted that thereafter the file will be forwarded for further legal advice. The sting operation was set up after a businessman who usually provides security services to the ministry reported to the police that the permanent secretary was demanding money from him before she signed off on his invoices. Now let's tell you, in the recently issued COVID-19 emergency measures published in the official gazette, which will go in effect from today, persons traveling in Guyana and those entering public buildings must now be fully vaccinated. As defined in the updated measures for this month, a person is only considered to be fully vaccinated 2 weeks after receiving an approved single-dose vaccine, the second dose of an approved two-dose vaccine, or any mix and match combination of approved vaccines administered at least 17 days apart. And now let's tell you the latest report of the World Meteorological Organization has revealed that significant amounts of greenhouse gas concentrations and associated accumulated heat have propelled the planet into uncharted territory. In fact, the report notes that 2015 to 2021 are poised to be the warmest years on record. The organization State of the Global Climate 2021 report says urgent action is needed if the future of current and future generations is to be saved. The report, which was perused by Kaieteur, combines input from multiple United Nations agencies, national meteorological and hydrological services, and scientific experts. It highlights impacts on food security and population displacement, harming crucial ecosystems and undermining progress towards the Sustainable Development Goals. And to wrap things up, just before we get to your COVID-19 update, followed by the page 7 of the Kaieteur News, let's tell you that the Ministry of Human Services and Social Security has launched its short story writing competition for young writers on the topic of child safety. The new initiative forms part of the Every Child Safe campaign that was launched by Minister of Human Services and Social Security, Dr. Vindhya Prasad, in September, which seeks to tighten the grip on issues surrounding child abuse in Guyana. The age group being targeted in the competition is 12 years old and under, with the word limit being 250. Entries being sent into the ministry must be completed with the participant's name, address, age, and contact numbers. The 10 best stories will be published in a special book produced by the ministry, and young authors with winning entries will receive prizes. Submissions can be made at the ministry's East and Lamaha Streets, Georgetown location, or can be emailed to prmohSSS@gmail.com. That is prmohSSS@gmail.com. The deadline is November 11th, 2021. According to the Ministry of Health, yesterday, 7 more deaths from COVID-19 have been reported. Those deaths now take the country's COVID-19 death toll to 920. The ministry in its release said that 7 fatalities are that of 6 unvaccinated persons and another who is partially unvaccinated. Meanwhile, 73 new cases were recorded, bringing the total number of confirmed cases to 35,621. Presently, there are 15 patients who are admitted into the ICU, 60 persons in institutional isolation, 2,819 in home isolation, and 5 in institutional quarantine. To date, a total of 31,807 persons who contracted the virus have recovered. ExxonMobil has disclosed that its Yellowtail project will cost $9 billion or 1.8 trillion Guyana dollars. In the absence of provisions such as those which deal with ring fencing in the Stabroek Block deal, that investment spells a frightening tale for Guyana. In simple terms, ExxonMobil would be able to make the oil pie smaller and smaller to share. In other words, Guyana will get a smaller take of the crumbs it is already getting. When will we wake up and renegotiate the Stabroek Block deal to get what we deserve? With that, we've come to the end of today's News at Noon. I'm Kevin Smith. Thank you for listening.
This is GHK Lal inviting you to join me weekdays from Monday to Friday on the National Outlook for commentary on a range of issues. Immediately after the 12 noon and 7 p.m. newscasts on Kaieteur Radio at 99.1 FM and 99.5 FM. Looking forward to you sharing in the conversation.
Good morning, my fellow Guyanese. Good day, if it's that time.